Hello, all you lovely witches and seekers. It's Ryan with Dark Winter Moon. For all of you that are new to the channel, welcome. For all of you that are returning, welcome back. I created this channel so that we could discuss all things witchy and magical. So whether you're just starting on the path or you are an advanced practitioner or somewhere in between, we've got things to talk about. And today what I wanted to talk about is mirrors as doorways. So let me give you a little bit of background about what I mean by mirrors as doorways. So I, in my experience in witchcraft, have had some interesting experiences with mirrors that have led me to treat mirrors just as I would an open window or door. So what I mean by that is when I come into a new space, I try to make sure that when I'm warding this new space, when I'm cleansing it and preparing it for living there or working there, that I not only do special attention as far as protection around doorways and windows, but I also do the same around mirrors. And so let me tell you a little bit of a story about what's been going on with me lately. I recently moved back to Arkansas, back in with family, into the home I grew up in. So not long after I moved back in this past September, I started getting this weird vibe from one of the mirrors that has really been hanging in the house for years. It was there when at least when I was in college and I would come home for the weekends and that sort of thing. This mirror had been there. And so I didn't really give much thinking to it. I thought, oh, you're being weird. You know, I should know better. As soon as I have any feeling, I should learn to trust myself. But this mirror was giving me weird vibes. And so, especially at night when I would get up to go to the bathroom and walk by it, I would just get kind of this weird, creepy feeling like someone was watching me from the mirror. But I just kind of played it off. And then this actually went on for a few months. And I had some witchy friends over to the house visiting, and we were kind of all sitting around the table next to this mirror. And one of my friends just suddenly looked up and stopped the conversation, was like, Ryan, what's going on with this mirror here? It's giving me some weird vibes. And then the other witchy friends that were present also agreed, this is weird vibes. What's going on with this mirror? And so that confirmation from them made me realize yet again that my first impressions, my weird witchy tingly sense, was actually correct. In meditation, I started to magically probe this mirror to try to figure out what I could determine about it. And as I was meditating and thinking about it, I got this impression of almost a colonnade or a great space behind the mirror that was in itself mirrored. So imagine this great hall with all of the surfaces mirrored in and of itself. So it very much gave me this sort of labyrinthine funhouse kind of vibe. And I don't know if you all are Magicians fans, but if you've read the books or seen the show, there's this character called the Beast. And the closest energy that I could feel from this mirror was the feelings that character from the book and the show gave me. Needless to say, it wasn't a good vibe. And not to give any spoilers if you haven't seen the show or read the books, but this is a very malevolent, destructive, sort of trickster energy. And that's the feeling I got from this space. Also had to recognize sort of a deep, shadowy curiosity about it, that I was drawn to it. I wanted to know more, despite that maybe being kind of dangerous, especially considering the nature of that energy. Also, at the same time, I felt protected. As many of you probably know, my primary deity is Apollo, and there's a warrior aspect to him, and I felt that protection come over me. So I was kind of caught between, do I want to poke the badger, or do I want to be more cautious and gather more information? And so I kind of walked that line really carefully. And this curiosity actually led me not to take care of the issue more fully and more directly when maybe I should have. So finally I decided enough is enough. Tired of the creepy vibes. Not sure what this is or what its potential is. I want to take care of it. So I did a sort of mirrored inverted shield, and I've got some information on this linked right up here. So take a look at that video if you're interested in exactly what I'm talking about. And so I shielded the mirror, and it seemed effective, but I immediately started to feel an energy drain from the mirror somehow. The shielding I had put around the mirror was being drained away. And what I discovered is part of the reason for this is that this particular portal or doorway was active in more than 3 spatial dimensions. Now, I could get down a whole other rabbit hole about this, and perhaps I'll do a video on this very thing soon, but just trust me when I say that, and this is something Apollo, bless his wisdom, has helped me to understand, that sometimes there are more than 3 spatial dimensions active in magic and in the reality around us. And this particular mirror was active in more than 3 spatial dimensions. So my 3-dimensional construct of shielding it, putting around it, was not enough. And so, again, to keep from getting in a rabbit hole, when you're dealing with portals to other dimensions, you're often dealing with aspects of those portals that are outside the realm of your normal, everyday, 3D, consensual reality experience. Just take it on faith. Like I said, I don't want to get down into that rabbit hole. I will probably do a video on this very topic later. But my point in telling you this part is that often magic is trial and error, especially when you're dealing with something that you haven't quite dealt with before. Now, I've run into strange mirrors before, but nothing quite on this level. Nothing that was in my space that I would have to interact with and deal with in this way. And so I had to modify my approach. And that is really my point in telling you this, that oftentimes, like I said, magic is trial and error. And if something doesn't work, trust your feelings, trust your instincts, and go back to the drawing board. So with that said, what did I do next? Next, I went back to the drawing board and phoned a friend. And like I've talked about too on this channel very often, sometimes as humans, especially with things that we haven't experienced yet, it's important to have the experience and guidance of a deity or guide. In this case, of course, my patron deity, Apollo. I reached out to him and he helped to give me the full insight about what I should do next. So I modified my shielding approach to the mirror so that it was active, so that my shield was active in more than 3 dimensions. And that actually solved the problem, at least for a little bit. It solved the problem so well that I actually forgot about the mirror for a few weeks. And then one night, I felt it again as I was walking by, and it got more intense. And so I was like, well, damn, I thought I had taken care of this. And so, again, back to the drawing board. When I checked in meditation with Apollo, I could see that the energy was being drained away again from the construct that I had put around the mirror to shield it. And so what I actually did now is physically go to the mirror and take my lit stick of incense and weave a magical barrier over the mirror. And that worked. Again, so well that I forgot about the mirror for a couple of weeks. And then the same thing happened again. I was walking by it one night and bam, there it was again. So whatever force was acting on the other side of this mirror was effectively draining away the energy of my shielding. And so again, I went back to the drawing board. And it occurred to me that I needed to create a sigil. So I created a sigil of binding, and it occurred to me too that I needed to cast a full circle, call on Apollo, the elements, and all my guides and other gods, and create some sacred water, some Apollo sun water. I'll link that video up here, and take the mirror off the wall, bless it with the Apollo sun water, wipe it down on all of its surfaces, front and back and sides. I tape the sigil to the back of it, and then I sensed it by shielding it again in the aforementioned way. And I imagine the sigil itself embedding itself into the surface of the mirror. And I drew a pentacle around it as well. And in each point of the pentacle, I drew the sigil. And so that is my latest sealing of the mirror. It seems to be fine now. It seems to be done. Yet we'll see. This was just yesterday that I did this. So again, maybe it'll be 2 weeks and I will have to do something else. Now, what I did most recently with the mirror, I called on every faculty and power that I myself could bring forth. I asked Apollo to come into me and work through me as I sealed this mirror. I'm very confident in it right now, but I may have to go back to the drawing board again. I may have to call on the aid of several friends in the craft, and I mean physical friends, other witches, to help me with this. So, to sum all of this up, first and foremost, in whatever way you normally cleanse and ward your space, make sure that you also do the very same to the mirrors. Treat them like openings, like doors or windows. Treat them like access points where spirits or powers or malevolent entities can come through and shield them. If you don't know how to shield your personal space, then I'm going to do a video next week on that very thing, so stay tuned. Also, like I said last week in my video about the week before last in my video about not giving up, magic is trial and error. So if you have an issue with a mirror or any other thing in the craft, then please go and research, read, apply what you've learned. If it doesn't work, meditate, ask for guidance, try again, get more information. If it doesn't work again, go back to the drawing board, meditate, read, study, ask for guidance, and keep building your method. And by doing this, you will create your own system and your own way of dealing with things. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't be afraid to escalate to the point where you are pulling in deity and other witchy friends if you have them and all of that. So you'll be fine. And as always, reach out to me if you have any questions. So I guess that's it. As always, thank you all so much for watching and staying with me. I really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you watching, and I love any comments. I always respond to them. Any way that you can help me out, whether it's by watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, is so helpful. If you feel like that you want to do more, I always appreciate Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a great way that you can support me in this channel, and if you decide to go that route, I really appreciate it. And there's some really great perks, like freebies from my shop and discounts that you can get for joining my Patreon, and it starts at $1. So, as always, I appreciate and love you all. Blessed be, and have a wonderful weekend. Mwah.